Excuse me, I just saw you. I like your style.
Thank you.
You look super chilled.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
You're English.
Yeah, from London.
You're sort of posed so romantically, and yet there's no handsome Russian man
I'm
keeping
waiting
you
for my
company.
boyfriend, actually.
Oh, well, that would make sense then, wouldn't it? And where is he now? Has he got lost?
And now I'm meeting in Waterloo, so I'm going to walk there now.
Well, it's really been a pleasure.
And you.
Short and sweet. Our love affair was short but sweet. I look forward to the continuation. Have a lovely day. Hi guys, this is Sam from Fluid Social, and in this video I'm going to show you how to generate that free-flowing, fluid, spontaneous and creative side to your conversation. So much of the time I see guys going in and trying to predict everything that's going to happen. They've got their lines scripted out, they know what they're going to say, they think they can predict the future, they think there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, and all of this is just not true. The truth is this: the best chance you have is to go in without any expectations, to see the woman you want, to go up to her with nothing planned and just see what happens. It might be that it's a little bit awkward at the start, or it might be that you two just get on like a house on fire. The truth is, any attempt to predict what's gonna happen, to plan what you're gonna say, to have tactics and strategies ahead of time is only gonna harm you. The reason why is that she can sense that you're not fully there, you're not present, you're not experiencing this same momentary connection that she is experiencing. And so the best chance you have as a man is to go up with just curiosity. Who is this woman? What can I learn about her life? Maybe you get on, maybe you don't, but you have to be prepared to take that risk, to see what's gonna happen and to not have any expectations. And at the least, you're gonna learn. And at best, you're gonna have that magical, spontaneous, fluid conversation. So I wanna show you how you can generate that creativity, how you can have these spontaneous, fun, light-hearted interactions without predicting and planning your lines ahead of time. And if you like what you see, book a call with me at the link in the description and we can get on a 20-minute call to help you overcome your biggest obstacle. It's absolutely on me, it's free, and so I look forward to seeing you there. Excuse me. Hi, I just saw you. I like your style.
Thank you.
You look super chilled.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
You're English.
Yeah, from London.
Interesting. I had thought you might be from like Eastern Europe or something.
Oh yeah, my mum's Russian.
That makes sense. Привет.
Yeah, I don't speak.
So as you can see, I didn't know what I was going to say. And the style thing just came to me because she is stylish, she looks a bit alternative. And after, when I told her she looks like she might be from Eastern Europe or Russia, that was because I had only perceived that after we'd started talking, right? So at the start of the interaction, that wasn't my intuition at all. She looked English. But when we'd started talking and I'd see the way she responded, I just had an intuition that she's from Eastern Europe, right? That she's not fully from London. Again, I don't need to know why I thought that, and you don't need to know. You don't need to learn the cues of, you know, oh, well, if I'm gonna copy Sam and do what he did, I need to learn what women from Eastern Europe look like. It's not about that. Don't worry about that. Whatever your intuition, if your intuition is that she's from Ghana, then say that, right? It doesn't have to be right. It's about you being able to engage spontaneously with another person, take yourself out of here and put yourself in the moment. That's what we're trying to do here, and it's so important because without doing that, you're just learning theory. You're never actually experiencing what you're here to learn, right? You're here to experience the joy and the connection of interaction. You're here to become more confident, more charismatic. You realize that all of those things are based on being in the moment, on being present. You can't plan charisma, you can't plan charm. You need to assign your mum as your Russian teacher. This is a valuable language to learn.
I know, it is.
Yeah.
It would be very cool.
Yeah. It's next on my list actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, of languages to learn, that is.
Oh cool, very cool. Where are you from?
I'm from just northeast of London, a place called Suffolk.
Oh okay, right, yeah.
You've heard of it?
Yes.
So here, when I say it's next on my list of languages to learn, that is true, right? After English, Spanish, and Portuguese, it is Russian. But notice that I wasn't begging her to respond to that, right? When I say it's next on my list, instead of me doing all the investment and asking her questions or getting her to ask me questions, I'm just making statements that she may or may not be interested in. Think of it like when you're fishing. You're not dragging fish out of the water. You're just throwing bait and seeing what they respond to, right? Maybe one type of bait doesn't work and you try another one, right? Natural conversations, when you're talking with someone you know, like a friend, you're just throwing statements out there. You're not expecting them to respond. You don't need them to respond. You're just saying what you're thinking. You're throwing invitations for them to respond without asking them to respond. And again, this comes from that creative, fluid, present state. You cannot plan this. So in this situation, I recommend you look at her eyes, because that way all of your focus is on her. And when your focus is on her, you're not going to be thinking or filtering what you're saying. Things are going to come out, right? You're focused on her body language, on her presence, and therefore you're not strategizing. Things are spontaneous, and whatever comes out of your mouth is going to come. We need to delegate our conversation to our subconscious mind and put our conscious focus on her. And that way, we usually come up with the best thing to say when we're not thinking about it. And this is something that's been explored at length in the psychology of sports achievement. When tennis players try to focus on how far they're going to bring their arm back before they hit the ball over the net, they get it wrong 9 times out of 10. But when they just focus on where they're going to put the ball on the other side of the net, then they start hitting that target every time. And the same is true of golfers and footballers and every other type of sport. And this is perfectly transferable across to the realm of social dynamics. So instead of thinking about what you're going to say, how you're going to hold your body or any of this, you just focus on her. You focus on the target and let your subconscious mind take care of the conversation, or for the tennis player, take care of the actual arm movement that's going to hit the ball over the net. You're one of the few.
No!
This is the Russian genetics. I'm not joking. Russian ladies seem to know more about England than English ladies, so
wow.
You got your mother's genetics.
I do indeed.
And might I ask, what brings you to the wall? So again here, that is just something from my experience of having met Russian, Belarusian, and generally Eastern European women. They have a much better knowledge of English history than English people do. They tend to know more about the royal family than we do over here. They speak in perfect finished prose, right? Without the sort of grammatical mistakes and the casual errors that we make. And so that is something I've noticed, right? They speak really, really well. They have a very, very good knowledge of our history that we don't have of our history or theirs. And so again, I'm not saying, you know, I've met lots of Russian women before and they all seem to know about this. I'm just suggesting value without forcing value, right? I'm suggesting all of the Russian women that I've met seem to have a better understanding of geography and history, right? And then that means that she can then ask, oh, how have you met people from other countries? How have you met Russian people? Have you been there? Again, I'm giving her the invitation to invest in the conversation without demanding it or forcing it. And might I ask, what brings you to the wall by yourself on such a, you're sort of posed? So just a quick one here. That could have been a really boring conversation, right? It could have just been, so what are you up to today? So why are you here today? But instead it's, so might I ask, what brings you to the wall? And that inflection in the vocal tone, that slightly different phrasing, slightly more interesting and unusual way of phrasing the question is what elevates it to something more fun and cool rather than something boring. Again, it's not about what you say, it's about the way that you present it. And you can't control the way it's going to come out. You can't act forever. So what we're trying to do here is access the part of you that is creative, that can be spontaneous. Access that present-minded version of you instead of trying to act our way through everything, because it's unsustainable. As you notice, I actually shifted my body position over to stand next to her. And the reason for that is that if you stay opposite someone for an extended period of time, it starts to get a little bit dry. When you stay in the same position, the conversation starts to stay on the same level and it feels like you're not really connecting. But when you shift your body language over to stand next to them instead, again, you're adopting the position that a friend might or a boyfriend might. So any passers-by aren't looking and saying, oh, that guy just approached her. It looks like you guys have known each other forever. And when it looks like that, That's the way it starts to feel. So you and her will start to feel more connected when you use your body, you move about, you shift your weight over beside her instead of standing opposite, which is a very sort of new connection, not scared about personal space. Instead of that, you want to shift your body language when the conversation starts to warm up a bit so that you're standing next to her. And then if you want to introduce physical contact, it's a lot more normal and a lot more natural than it would be stretching your hand out in front of you to introduce physical contact that way. Pose so romantically, and yet there's no handsome Russian man keeping you company.
My boyfriend, actually.
Oh, well, that would make sense then, wouldn't it? And where is he now? Has he got lost?
No, I'm meeting in Waterloo, so I'm going to walk there now.
Could I ask you not to? I'll walk with you somewhere more interesting than Waterloo. We can go on a grand adventure of London together. I'll show you the world.
But I'm sure you'll find another half Russian girl.
You know what?
That would be...
I was with my friend who's a stylist today, and so again here, do you really think I would have been able to say that if I'd gone in using canned lines and canned techniques from the start? There's no chance, right? The sort of laugh and, well, that would make sense then, wouldn't it? That all comes from the warm-up phase, right? That comes from going through the mental pressure of not knowing what to say at the start. It doesn't just come, right? You can't script your lines and then expect to be fluid and spontaneous. These are essentially two different schools of thought. One is, let me try and act my way through and hope that she likes me despite my acting. And the other is, let me mess it up as many times as is necessary. Let me focus on the present moment. And then let me recognize patterns after the interaction to see why some of them went well and to see why some of them went badly. So the only reason why it now looks kind of cool and playful and fun and flirty is because I went through that pressure at the start when I didn't know what to say, forced my subconscious mind to handle the communication, to get creative, right? To come up with new ideas rather than just regurgitating the old ones. And that's why I'm now able to be creative and spontaneous and natural and fluid and flirty. You can't have both ways. You can't plan everything ahead of time and then expect to somehow manifest creativity when there's been no warm-up process. So that's why you see certain interactions where it feels like there's a vibe or a certain energy. It's because that creativity has been building through the tension that's caused by not having planned it. I was with my friend who's a stylist today, and we were walking around. I actually haven't seen anyone. I haven't seen anyone else quite like you, young lady. So you underestimate yourself to that extent.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Are you excited about Christmas? So notice here for the first time there's a really long and extended period of eye contact. So I'm actually just looking her dead in the eye, and she said, I'm sure you'll find another girl, right? Which obviously begs the response, oh, I'm not interested in other girls, right? There's a million ways to come off like a simp or just a little bit disingenuous here. But again, giving that little bit of context at the start, saying, you know what, I've actually been walking around with my friend who's a stylist, and I haven't seen anyone that I like, actually. You're the first one, so don't underestimate yourself. And all of that is said with this little smirk, right? You can see in the facial expression, it's like that little sort of self-satisfied smirk, but there's a lot of tension being built there because there's eye contact held on both sides, right? It's a little bit, you could call it awkward. For most people, they would find that very uncomfortable to hold eye contact and tell someone sincerely that they're the most attractive or interesting person you've met. And there's a million ways to get it wrong. But again, you're not a simp from what you say, it's from the way that you say it. And that's incredibly relevant, right? What you say and the way you say it are completely different things. The most boring conversation on paper can be incredibly engaging when it's said with the right smile, in the right way, that's congruent with how you're feeling, and that's truly creative. So this entire part of the interaction where I say, actually, I've walked around with my friend who's a stylist for the whole afternoon. I haven't seen anyone quite like you, young lady, right? Now there's starting to be that bit of personality, right? You've got to have your own ideas, your own vibe, your own identity, your own brand to some extent, right? Young lady is something that I say, and it might not come off well for you. It might not sound natural for you, it might not feel natural, but for me it does. And that's something that I would then use in the messaging process afterwards, where I'd say, hello, young lady, right? So by continuing the interaction itself in the messaging process, she's going to remember that you're the guy that calls her young lady. You're building what I call the we frame, right? Which is like it's you and her, and you have your own language, your own world together, your own adventure that no one else has access to. So by saying things like young lady, I'm creating this brand in her mind of who I am that's unique, that's specific, that no one else has, because I guarantee no one else is calling her young lady, right? And so when I message, I don't need to say, hey, it's Sam, the guy that met you by the wall. I'll just say, good morning, young lady. And she'll know exactly who it is, right? Because she'll remember that young lady, she will have heard it, and she'll remember who the guy was that said it to her. So all of this is serving to make the two of you feel connected. And really, you are connected. You're just sort of short-circuiting that long process of developing a friendship or a relationship. You're doing it all on 3 or 4 speed, where you are growing that friendship and that connection much, much faster than most people have the opportunity to do. And that's the only way that Cold Approach is going to work, is if you're able to develop that connection faster. Otherwise, you're just the same as the guys on Tinder, the guys DMing her on Instagram. So by being able to have this moment in person where even over the course of 10 minutes, you can build a really strong connection through eye contact, through standing next to her, through the little smile, through the use of language that only you use, right? You're creating your brand in her mind that makes you stand out as unique, specific, and completely original.
I am excited about this.
What are you doing?
Not much, really. I'm just with my mum.
Learning Russian.
No.
I'm going to find you here again, and we're going to speak in fluent Russian.
Fluent Russian too.
Right, and at that point, I will steal your... And this is called callback humor. So callback humor is essentially what comedians use, where they introduce a joke at the start of a set, and then later on, or right at the end, they will link back to that original joke, and everybody gets the reference and laughs, and it feels like you've tied up that joke from start to finish. Again, here, we talked earlier about, I can't believe she hasn't learned Russian, even though her mum speaks fluently. She should have used her mum as her Russian teacher. And then again here, she says, I'm going to be spending Christmas with my mum, and I say, learning Russian, right? And you get a little laugh out of that because you've tied up a joke from earlier on in the interaction. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but that's only possible when you're paying attention. Because if I was thinking about the next thing to say, when she says I'm spending Christmas with my mom, I would have said, oh, are you gonna buy her a nice present? Are you gonna like cook some nice food? All of these boring questions come when you're thinking about yourself. You're focused on yourself, you're focused on what to say. But when you're truly focused on her, those things come naturally. That process of creativity comes naturally. I know some people are born creative or born more creative than others, and some are more logical. And I know that anxiety differs between people, but it's not black and white. And you absolutely can become more creative. You can become more spontaneous. But the biggest barrier to it is that fear, is the fear of like, I can't do it unless I know what to say, right? You have to be prepared to go in with no certainty whatsoever that it's going to go well or badly, just with an open mind, just with curiosity. And that's why I'm able to get creative in these interactions. And so many of the guys I work with come to me, and it's a long process of developing that fluent creativity. Away from your relationship, and we're going to have a family, and it's going to be beautiful. Well, it's really been a pleasure.
And you.
Short and sweet. Our love affair was short but sweet. I look forward to the continuation. Have a lovely day. And so again here, that's all me now riffing, right? I'm riffing, just like freestyling, right? I've got to that state through eye contact, through creativity, where things are just coming out of my mouth, right? Words and sentences are just tumbling out into the world. And that is pure creativity, right? So you say, we can run away and go on an adventure, or I'll show you the world. Our love affair was wonderful. Even though it was short, it was a beautiful moment that we shared together. Whatever, right? You're unfiltered. And that truly is the sort of confidence and charm that I know so many of you are looking for, it comes when you're absolutely not concerned with what you're saying because you've trusted your subconscious to take care of it. So guys, just to quickly summarize that interaction, the things that I really want you to pay attention and take from it are not to plan what you're going to say. When you see that girl and you're walking towards her, all of your focus should be on her. You shouldn't be worrying about what you're going to say. You shouldn't be thinking about the next best thing. You should go up knowing that you're about to engage with her. You're excited to do it, so you're smiling, and then whatever comes out of your mouth is the right thing to come out, even if it leads nowhere, because the next interaction, you're going to be smarter, you're going to be sharper. Don't put everything on this one thing going well or badly. This isn't like the one event of your life that you need to show up for. This is just a part of your day. This is just an action that you took throughout the day. And taking the pressure off it going well or badly and just letting it be whatever it is. Letting it be a random memory that she has 3 weeks from now that she tells her friend, this guy came and approached me. It was kind of unusual in Trafalgar Square. Get rid of your ego. Don't feel so attached to how she's going to think about you afterwards, or whether she's going to see you the way she should see you. Let it all go. You're going to manifest however you're going to manifest. And I've talked to thousands of girls before, tens of thousands of approaches in my life. And many of those probably just thought I was a weirdo. And I'm okay with that. Maybe I wasn't at the time, but I know that some girls are going to like me and some girls aren't. I know the spectrum of possible responses that I can get, from very, very good and free-flowing and romantic to very, very bad. And so I know that whatever comes next is going to fall somewhere in between the two extremes. So what's there to worry about? So as I said, if you guys enjoyed this video, book a link with me at the call in the description. I'm back in London, so I'm really excited to get in touch with as many of you as possible and help as many of you through. I will be working long-term with 10 clients this year, so if you're really interested in changing this area of your life, if you want to learn this fluency, this creativity, this spontaneity in the real world, in real life, with real women in London, then get in contact with me at the link in the description and I'll make it happen. Take care, guys. Sam out.